Hey guys, this is John. Welcome to another episode of the Meatgistics podcast. As you can see, Austin is not here today. However, I have replaced him with an upgraded version. We have Kurt Ratzlaff from BHA. We've got quite a bit to talk about. You've been out in the back mountains of who knows where, hunting God knows what. I have been in Colby, Kansas, the very exciting town of Colby, Kansas, doing pheasant and quail hunting. So I went out this past weekend. We went up to the governor's hunt.
Nice.
Absolutely great time. That was my first chance to go. I was invited last year, planning on going. Things went absolutely insane here right before then, so I stayed while Brett, the owner and CEO of the company, went and had fun.
Right.
Lowly John stayed. No, I'm just kidding.
Guy.
Yes.
Doggone it.
No, poor me. But the way it works generally with these Walton's events is once you get invited once, as long as you keep accepting, you're like in. You're almost like grandfathered in.
Nice.
Once you say you can't go to one, then you have the possibility of getting knocked off. But I think we're good. So it's the governor's hunt. It's up in Colby, Kansas. And for the first time that I'm aware of, Laura Kelly actually came.
That's nice.
That is very nice.
Governor of Kansas?
Governor of Kansas. Would have been less surprised had she not been there. A, she hasn't gone. And B, we didn't think she was the biggest fan of hunting. She's never made any outreach to it. But she definitely did this time. She came. She went out hunting. I'm not sure if she actually shot a gun or not, but she did go hunting. She was out in the field with some people, and then she gave a speech, which I thought was very nice. She talked about how she wants to make hunting tourism a focus of her administration again, which is absolutely great news.
No question about that. Yeah, I was at the governor's hunt a couple of years ago, and she was not at that one. But she does have, I would say, some pretty good street cred as far as outdoor activities, not specifically hunting, but she does have a pretty good history of outdoor activities and that sort of thing. And she did, gosh, now I should remember this, but she did something with wildlife and parks. She was the leader of it or something like that for a while. So she has some ties to the outdoor community.
Okay.
So she does have that for sure.
While we were there was some, I don't want to say pushbacks, like almost like some negative comments from some people, like not at her. They weren't saying, like, they weren't being rude or whatever. But I tried to tell them, and Austin firmly agrees with me on this. In fact, he may be the one who put this in my brain. But when politicians, no matter what side they're on, no matter what their past is, does something we like, we have to recognize that.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're never going to do things that we like them to do.
Yes.
So her coming, her saying that she wants to make tourism for hunting a focus of Kansas, which it should be.
Absolutely.
I also have a very shocking thing to say. And in fact, I think I'm going to need a drink before I'm able to say this. This is Rabbit Hole from Cave Hill. It is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 47.5%, so 90 proof. We're going to pour a nice, healthy glass.
Don't leave out my glass.
And of course, I would never leave you out. So
thank you very much.
Let's taste this real quick and see.
Man, this must be big news here.
It's the opposite of something I've always said. So
okay.
Ooh, that is good. Wow, that's smooth.
That is pretty good. I got to admit, that is pretty good.
Is that on par with the Elijah Craig barrel proof? Or am I just in a really good mood?
You're in a good mood.
Okay.
But no.
Could be.
I'm just giving you
it's always
bad
possible.
time. But no, this is super good. I really like that.
It has a very nice taste, and the burn is in no shape, way, or form like painful at all. That's just a nice burn to it. Ooh, I'm a big fan of that. That, I think I like that better than the Elijah Craig, to be honest, just from a taste standpoint.
Feels like, and I'm not Mr. I can taste 47 different things, but I feel like there's a lot of caramel.
Yeah,
in that.
Maybe that would explain
really
why I
good.
like it too. I'm a big fan of caramel.
Yeah, it's really good. I like it a lot.
I should have a better palate than I do for like what my job is. It's way better palate. Dylan, our VP of sales, he's an owner of the company now. I'm sorry, I forget his title at the moment, but he went to school for meat sciences, and I kid you not, he will come in to this room sometimes and go, "Did you guys cook pizza in here today?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't cook anything that's even like pizza." Then like later in that day, I was like, "Wait, we cooked pizza yesterday." Like, how is he picking that up? It's unbelievable how advanced that kid's palate is. But
That'd be fun. All right, big news.
So the big news.
All right.
We go out hunting. We're in the middle of these guys' field. So we hunted corners. And we'd just gotten done with like our second field of the walk of the day. And I just looked around and I'm like, have I really said that Kansas isn't pretty?
I wondered if that's where you were going with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was gorgeous. You just had beautiful hills rolling into one another, absolutely stunning sky. Even like you can see so far that there's no mountains or anything to see, but it blends in, and it was really quite stunning.
You're coming around.
I was
You're coming around.
I mean, let's be honest. If I was out in Colorado or something, I probably would have been happier. But absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Loved it. And had a great time hunting. Got a couple of pheasant. Got a quail. First quail I've ever shot.
Excellent.
And it was humming. Like, it was moving fast.
Yeah.
So the quail, I went over and, do you know Sandy's dog, Bear?
No.
So Bear's a little English lab, and not like the best hunter. I don't think that's fair, because I don't think she's been taken out enough, but she won't retrieve. When they got her back from the trainer, like, that dog will retrieve anything.
Right.
And they've never gotten it to be able to bring back anything. So we're walking the quail flushes. I get the shot, drop it. Bear goes running over to it, and she's standing over it. Like, it's underneath her chest. And English labs are shorter.
Right.
So it's like underneath her chest. And I reached down to grab it. She didn't snarl, but her lip pulled back. She's like, this is mine. So I waited until another dog came and distracted her and picked it up. But then later in that same field, like, I look over and she's got a pheasant in her mouth and is running back with it. Now, she dropped it. She didn't take it all the way, but it was still cool to see. And I think my favorite thing about pheasant hunting, well, no, I love shooting stuff, but one of the best things about pheasant hunting, or really any hunting you're doing with a dog, is watching the dogs.
For sure. No question.
It is just an absolute joy to see them, like, something triggers in their DNA and they're like, yep, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yep. They're absolutely wired for it. That's what they want to do. That's what they're bred to do. And then they get a chance to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to see that kind of enthusiasm.
Yeah, their eyes light up.
Yeah,
they're like, yep,
absolutely.
this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
Gruber, who is Brett's dog, is a mix of a German short hair and a wire hair. And Brett warned us about it. He's like, the first 15 minutes, he won't even be able to hunt. He's just going to sprint around. And that's what he did. We let him out, and he's just running. That dog ran nonstop, would be dead tired, or at least look dead tired. We'd put him in the car to go from one place to another, and the second you open that door, he's out. Boom. And ready to go.
Absolutely.
Full go again. Like,
Yep.
Full recovery in a very impressively short amount of time. So some other cool things that happened. I'll start off with the good. I had what Brett called the shot of the week.
Nice.
So we were ahead. There's a pheasant coming. It was windy. I mean, really windy. So when they got up in the wind, it was hard to get them. Either one person took 2 shots at it, who's a very good hunter, or 2 people took a shot, both missed it. And I saw it kind of coming from 3/4 or quarter behind me, and just nailed it. One shot, like, perfect. Led it perfectly. I was really happy with that, because I had shot terribly the first day. And I know what it is, too. Taylor, our shipping manager, who's been on the podcast, came with us, and he hasn't done bird hunting before. And I told him, I'm like, this is going to be different. You have to remember to keep the barrel moving. Like, if you stop the barrel, you're not going to hit them. it wasn't like until 3/4 of the way through the first day, I'm like, I've not been moving my barrel at all, like not even a little bit. So things got much better after that. But the worst one, Allie, who is Brett's daughter, and I are walking along kind of 10 feet or so away from a feedlot, and we're just in CRP, and they flush a bird, and it's coming right over me. And I can see Allie from like 20 feet away start to raise her gun. I go, no, I got it. Missed them both. I'm like, oh my God. So then I got it became a thing. A lot of people said.
I believe that.
And then one of the things I really like about upland hunting is you get to walk through some pretty harsh terrain.
Right.
Like it gets pretty thick in there, and you got to like push to get through. So my only excuse for what I did was that I was going through some real thick terrain. Pheasant comes up. I heard hen, but I didn't process hen and took a shot at it. Now, luckily, that pheasant was never in any danger, so
Okay,
it was fine.
Good.
But yeah, no, I did unfortunately shoot at a hen, so that was also quite talked about.
Yes.
I should have brought it in here. Taylor, we're walking along a field we'd been in the day before, and I hear him from like 50 feet to the side and behind me go, wait, hold up. And I look over, and he's picking up a stick that turns out to be an antler. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He found a shed. Keeps pulling it up, then comes the skull. Keeps pulling it up, then comes the other antler. Everything's still perfectly attached. It is awesome looking. So they were nice enough to give him that. Everybody got at least a few pheasants. I think we only shot 4 total quail, right? But I learned how to field dress my first quail.
Cool.
Super easy.
Yep.
Like I had no idea how that was going to go. It was not hard at all.
Yeah. Have you cleaned trout?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think of quail as the trout of upland birds.
Fair
because
point.
it's so easy and so quick, and you could just knock it out.
That's
like
a fair.
that.
Now the pheasant was even easier. I mean, quail you have to be a little bit more careful, but with pheasant it's just like you could do it with a rock.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
you
much.
just break the legs, pull the feathers and skin off, and you're basically good to go. So that was awesome. I was really happy I learned how to do that. The guys who took us were absolutely awesome people. They own a lot of irrigation systems up there. My understanding is that they only do guiding for this event. Other than that, they hunt themselves, but they just take people out from this.
Yep.
They were such good people, so much fun to hunt with. They did such a great job that the son, who I don't know how old he is, I would guess somewhere in like the 16-year-old range, they were showing us pictures at the bar later of, so he was drinking sodas, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. They were showing us trail cam of these gorgeous deer they have on there. I'm like, you guys need to make this like a thing. And their reason for not doing it is that like their uncle does that or something. I'm like, you're not going to take away business from him. You're going to do it in conjunction with him.
Right.
So a couple other quick things about that. They had obviously the auction, silent auction, and raffle stuff. I won Camp Chef Mount Everest dual burner camping stove.
Nice.
And a nice Camp Chef cast iron pan. Couple deep at that point. So I'm walking away, and I see somebody walking with the Camp Chef, the stove portion of it. And I got real mad because in my mind, that meant that I had paid a decent amount of money for the Camp Chef, just the pan.
Just the
like
pan.
They weren't really together when I thought they were together. Now, it wasn't that much, and it all goes to a good cause, so I don't care.
Absolutely.
As we get up there, the first thing I always look for at any of the raffles is guns. Like, what do you have for guns? So they had this one really cool package that there were 3 rifles. There was a TriStar semi-auto 12 gauge. There was a 20 gauge youth. I think that was a TriStar too. Could be wrong on that one. And then there was a 22 Magnum Henry Golden Boy lever action. And everybody was like, so they were going to draw 3 tickets. The winner got to choose first, and then he got whatever. Yep. So I bought some tickets. Taylor bought some tickets, and then Brett bought some tickets, and we're all talking about what we would do if we won. Brett's plan was to remove the firing pin from it and hang it in his office. So we knew we could not allow him to win.
Cannot
let him win. So I bought more tickets. I tried to convince his daughter to steal his tickets and give them to me. I was actually willing to entertain the idea of Walton's doing a TikTok, if she would do that, because she wants us to do a TikTok account. I'm dead set against it, but if she did that, I would have thought about it. She did not want to do that. And looking back, it's a good thing. Anyways, so we're sitting there. They call the numbers. I'm off by one number. But I wrote my name on the back, and it turns out I'm not off by one. I won.
You got it.
I was sure that I stopped at 625, but it was 624, and the feeling of disappointment was so amazing. And then she turned there and she goes, Jon Tremble, and I just, that's me. And one of the things that's awesome about going to these things with Brett is when somebody wins, like, you see all these, sometimes people are like, oh, yay. We go crazy. We're super excited. So I went up there, and I now have a 22 Magnum Henry Golden Boy lever action. And
That's
I've been
awesome.
wanting a lever action, too.
It's awesome. They're such fun.
It looks like it. I can't wait to get out and shoot it. We just got back on Sunday, so I haven't had a chance yet, but as soon as I can.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've talked. Do you know I also won a gun at the last event I was
do.
at?
Yeah, two in a row now?
Yeah, 2 in a row.
That's ridiculous.
But so now I have a 6.5 Creedmoor that I haven't had a chance to go out and sight in, and obviously this 22 Magnum, which I don't think I'll. What am I? Maybe if I hunt rabbits.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
that's just fun to shoot.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Target shoot, little plunker.
Yeah, absolutely fun.
So yeah, quite a bit of luck here.
Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And I have tried. I've bought lottery tickets since then.
It's not transferring.
Just guns.
or all the luck got used up. One or the other.
I have tried. When did I start working here? Like 8 years ago. As soon as I heard that everyone was like involved in gun raffles, I'd buy tickets. So I've estimated back, like, how much money have I spent on this? And it definitely is, hey, you could have bought a couple really nice guns.
Don't look at that.
Don't do that.
Don't even do that.
And that's one of the things Brett was saying to Taylor. He's like, don't ever calculate pounds per meat of what you paid for that. He goes, because it's never worth it.
Right. Absolutely.
But the experience, getting the enjoyment out of killing, harvesting, and cooking something and serving it to yourself or somebody else is unparalleled.
It is. It is absolutely just like the thrill as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's awesome. But the governor's hunt thing, that does go to a great cause. Like I said, I was out there a couple years ago. They had a panel discussion on conservation groups, and so like the CEOs of Pheasants Forever, Mule Deer Foundation, like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, all of them were out there. I got to go because I convinced John Gale of BHA, who's our national conservation guy, to go, and he was up on the panel. And that's how I got to go because I convinced him to go. And I got to say, John is spectacular. John Gale is the man. I mean, he commands a room when he's there, and he just knocked it out of the park on that conservation panel up there and was great. I might be slightly prejudiced about that, but he's a good dude. Okay. And besides, I got to take him out before that or after that. I can't remember now. I got to help him get the first wild bird that he harvested over his dog. And so that was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
Yep.
So my wife and I went out there and did a little scouting for him and found some good looking fields and got his dog out there, and it was pretty fun.
What kind of dog was it?
Poodle pointer, which is John Gale is always quick to go, it's not a Paris Hilton dog, because it sounds like you crossed a poodle and a pointer. And it's actually a very old breed of bird dog. Okay. And they're really good dogs. They have not been popular for a while, but they are trending up rapidly right now.
What happens if that dog gets into some burrs, though? That's got to be a pain.
Yeah, like my dogs.
Yeah, it's real bad.
I got to spend about an hour with my little deburring tool the other day. So it's awful.
So a couple other quick things about the governor's hunt.
Yep.
David Balavia was there. He's the only surviving Medal of Honor winner from the Iraq War. And oh my good Lord, can that man give a speech?
Is that right?
Ho, 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 ho.
That's awesome.
At the end of it, whatever he wanted, I was ready to do. I firmly believe that man has some sort of future in politics, because talk about commanding a room. He did an absolutely phenomenal job. He was a good mix of, obviously the story's amazing, good mix of humbleness, humor, and just like down to earth, in touchness. He was absolutely great. So he gives that speech, and we're all like, the room is buzzing. You can feel the electricity. And some lady comes up to the microphone, and it's kind of obvious right away that she's been crying. It's like, oh, well, what is this? This should be interesting. She says, we've been putting on this event for however many years, 20 years, something around that. She says, we've never had an accident. And the entire room stops talking. Like, nobody's talking. She's like, unfortunately, we had one today. I'm going to bring up somebody to talk about it. So this poor guy comes up and starts telling the story of a dog that was killed on a retrieval. Obviously a terrible accident, but something that, in my opinion at least, terrible time to bring it up. Should have been either the last thing or earlier, before we all did that, but something that absolutely needs to be addressed and talked about. One, because that poor guy, and somebody else who won one of their guns donated it to the owner of that dog. I wasn't going to be that generous. I wanted my gun. But there were tons of things like that. People buying, like donating, buying. They're really donating huge amounts of money, and then giving the things away. We also had General Funk, who's a 4-star general there. People were buying these military decorations and giving it to him, giving it to David. It reminds me, at least, because it's not what I grew up with, what good company I'm in.
Yes.
When you see things like that, you're like, these are the great Americans I wanted to know when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I know them now. That makes me very, very happy.
Yep. Yeah. That is such a good event out there, and they do a really good job with it. And they always bring in great speakers, like you're talking about. It is good people out there. It truly is. It's a great event.
Yep. I can't recommend it highly enough. I absolutely will, hopefully, be going again next year. Even though, as I was gone, my the 100-pound dog I have got an interest in chewing the door again. Didn't like me being gone, so he chewed holes through my solid wood door. And then he did it again this morning. My wife is off for vacation from work. And at this point, we're like, all right, who cares? Like, we're not replacing the door until we move anyway, so whatever. So he did it, but he's found a new way to annoy her, at least out of this. He woke up from a nap, went to a shag carpet, threw up the pieces of door he had eaten, and then went right back to bed. Like, hey, now deal with that, woman. How dare you leave me, is all I can think about.
Oh, my gosh.
But all right, enough about me. I mean, not really. We could always talk
about you.
Always more about me. But I know you've done some really cool things recently. Let's get into that.
I've had a little fun.
You have?
Yeah. I was trying to think. The last time I was here, I think, was after the lightning storm, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's been some not so good times, actually, after that as well.
Oh, okay.
We had kind of a tough trip after that. It was supposed to be a great trip. Had a 2-week trip in the Tetons, all set up. And we were going out there to do that. Where the first week was hiking and fly fishing. Okay. And the second week we had gotten a permit that we tried a long time to get, finally got it. We were going to do a backpacking trip on the Teton Crest Trail. Okay. Which is just a beautiful trail. We've done it once before. You have to get a permit to do it.
So I was going to say, I've seen a documentary that had that about. That can be very hard to get.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We got it. We got literally because you have to. To get that permit, you have to set it up like you will stay this night in this camping zone. It's not, you don't get a campsite, but there's like signs along the trail, and you have to camp between those signs someplace, something kind of like that. We got like every camping zone we wanted. like in the order that we wanted. It was all just laid out perfectly. And so we were so pumped for that deal. And then we stopped and babysat grandkids for a couple of days on the way out there. And apparently, I mean, obviously my grandson would not give me any germs or make me sick or anything, but some kid at his daycare
Definitely not him. Definitely not him.
gave it to him, and then he passed it on to us. My wife and I both got really sick.
Yeah.
And turns out it was RSV, which is like this, I don't know, I'd not heard of it,
No.
but it's a thing that, like, for a kid, it's nothing, and for old people, it really whacks you.
Wow.
And we spent, like, the first week was supposed to be the hiking and fly fishing week. First of all, we got there, we couldn't even see the mountains because of all the smoke from the wildfires. So that was kind of a bummer. But then we're like, it's okay. You know, a couple days, they'll probably clear out or something. And so set up camp, all that good stuff, and then proceeded to get very sick. And then it started raining. And so literally, like, my wife and I laid in a tent sick in the rain for like 5 straight days. It was awful.
That is terrible.
It was awful. My grandson would never do that to me. I know that it's some other kid at his
Sure.
daycare,
Yep.
but yeah, it was pretty terrible. It really was. And we kept hanging in there though, because we had that permit for the trail.
Right.
And we didn't want to let that go. And we're like, well, it's raining. It's all going to turn out. You know, the rain's going to clear out the smoke. It's going to be gorgeous. It'll be beautiful. We'll be feeling better. And out of all of that, the only thing that actually happened from all of that was that it eventually did stop raining.
Okay. It didn't clear the smoke, and he never felt
No,
better.
like 2 hours after the rain stopped, the smoke was right back in again, and we were still sick. And so we were like, we can't do that.
Oh,
so we
that's
had to give it up.
terrible.
Which, yeah, it was terrible. Ended up though, we came back home.
Wait, so you didn't even get to fly fish?
We didn't fly fish. We didn't hike. We didn't do anything but lay in a tent, sick in the rain.
Which is the exact last place you'd want to be when you're seriously ill.
It was just not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, you just got to hang in there. You know, it's one of those deals that's like, well, tomorrow we'll be feeling
Maybe
better.
better, yep.
Tomorrow we'll be feeling better. Tomorrow, and it was bad.
Did you or suspect you had COVID at all, or?
No, because my daughter, let's see, we left her house, I'm going to say on a Sunday or something like that. And on Monday, she called and said, hey, grandson is sick. I've already taken him to the doctor. They did a test. It's not COVID. They think it's RSV, but we don't know.
Okay.
But they had him tested, and that's like literally the only people we'd been around. So we were pretty sure about that. But it ended up, I had some follow-up problems with it for the first time, and it ends up, it was a very good thing that we were not up on that backpacking trail,
Okay.
which has a few kind of treacherous parts to it. Because it ended up settling in my ears, and I got vertigo for the first time in my life. Like, I've done a lot of excessive drinking, probably more than I should have, but I've never seen the room spin. And I can now say that I have seen a room spin because I got vertigo, and it was terrible. It was awful.
Yeah,
I mean, it
that's
was
not
awful,
fun at
awful.
all.
Oh, it was terrible.
How long did it last for?
I had it, I mean, it hit me like that. And I had it for about 3 days. Where it was like I couldn't walk a straight line, all that kind of stuff. It was really bad that first night. My wife ended up calling 911 on me. She thought I was having a stroke or something, and it was bad. It was really bad. But anyway, we've made it through all of that stuff. So that was the not so good part. We were supposed to go to Montana to hunt birds after that. Montana's in a drought. We made a bunch of calls, decided not to go there. Ended up going to Nebraska, out to the Sandhills. I don't know if you've ever been out there.
Nope.
Another place that you probably think is not attractive, and you're wrong again.
Okay.
That place was pretty spectacular. I got to say, that's the first time I'd been up there. And we went up there to hunt prairie chickens and sharp-tailed grouse. Yes.
Quickly on prairie chickens,
Yes.
because we got the license for it because we said we may possibly see them. Our guide, who isn't really a guide, claims that the meat is pretty much purple.
It's very dark. Absolutely.
Not quite purple? Because I pressed them on them. I'm like, is it actually purple? He's
Not
like,
quite
yes.
purple, but it's
Okay.
it's on the range of red to purple.
It's more
it's
in-
over
okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
and
ahead.
It's, and it's really good if you take care of it and cook it right. It can be super good. I know all the jokes about prairie chickens. You know, you can take the meat and cook it on a plate and throw the meat out and eat the plate.
Yeah,
You know, all
better.
that stuff.
Sure. But that's
it's
anything.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not true. So anyway, we went up there for Sharpies and prairie chickens and got skunked.
Okay.
Had a great time. I'd never been up there before. Figured, was learning about that place. It's just different. And it's, I think had we been able to stay there for another couple of days, we would have put the pieces together and
Sure.
and got into them pretty well. But I will be back up there.
Okay.
It's beautiful. It's another huge expanse of treeless plains and
Just
rolling
nothingness.
hills.
Sure.
And everything,
Yeah.
not nothing. Everything
Yeah.
is there. But anyway, so
It
we
takes
went
a
up
while
there.
to be able to see the beauty
There
or
you
something
go.
like that.
So we went up and did that, and then I think then we did some prairie chicken hunting around here and actually got into them pretty well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had a pretty good year on the prairie chickens this year in Kansas.
I don't even know what a
And-
prairie chicken looks like. Keep
Oh,
going.
they're cool. They're a very cool bird. I like them a lot. There's a lot of walking involved to get them. You can only shoot 2 per day, but that's usually enough because usually you've walked your legs off to get 1 or 2. So they're cool looking birds.
Yeah, that is a cool looking
There you
bird.
go.
How much meat are you taking off each one? About?
Oh gosh, not much.
No.
No.
Like
it's-
about a chicken or
It's
less?
slightly smaller than a pheasant.
Okay.
Slightly smaller than a pheasant.
No. If 2 is your limit a day, yeah, you're not living off of
No,
that.
no,
Yeah,
no, for sure. You're doing it to watch the dogs, like you were
Sure.
talking
Yep.
about, because
Yep.
that's one of the best parts about prairie chicken hunting, because you do that in grass, shin to knee high,
Okay.
and so you can see the dogs. When you're pheasant hunting, you're going through all that thick, nasty stuff that you were talking about. You can't see the dogs a lot of time.
You see the
See
move.
dust
yeah.
moving through the weeds and stuff. But you can see the dogs when you're prairie chicken hunting or Sharpie hunting. You can see the dogs all the time, and it's just a joy. It's just a joy to watch that. It's just awesome.
It is tons of fun.
It is. So we did that, and then the big fun.
Yeah.
I-
I think we could just say the actual fun.
The-
Because to
well,
this point,
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like it was.
It's been a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, then I got to go for the first time. I went hunting with one of my son-in-laws, and we went elk hunting in Colorado, and ended up we had a successful hunt.
Okay.
And it was awesome. I was out there for about a week by myself, which was different for me. Usually my wife tags along with me, but she ended up going to my daughter and son-in-law's house to babysit while son-in-law came out
Okay.
to hunt with me. And so it all worked out well that way. But yeah, so I was out there for about a week, did a bunch of scouting, and Dr. Jed Reese, BHA board member, had clued me in on a pretty good area out there. And so I was out there scouting around and looking around and found what I thought was a pretty good spot, and had seen some elk there a couple of days. And my son-in-law got there like on a Wednesday night, real late because he'd worked that day, and then drove clear down to the southern part of Colorado. And so the next day we went out in the middle of the day and kind of so that he could figure out the area and look at it and see it and everything. And then like Friday morning, got up at 3 o'clock in the morning so that we could go walk through the forest in the dark, which my
cool.
son-in-law had never done that before. And you get to hear all the stuff moving around out there, and you can't see it and all that good stuff. But got out there, got set up, and just a couple of minutes after 8 o'clock, a nice young bull walked out in front of him, had about 15 cows with it, and they all came out into the little opening, and he had a 90-yard shot at an elk and put it down right there.
Awesome.
So it was fantastic. It was really, really good. It was a blast. I mean, that part of it didn't take very long at all. I didn't even see the bull until I walked out there and saw it laying dead. From where I was at, it was blocked. I could see about 7 or 8 cows, I think it was, kind of milling around. And then all of a sudden, son-in-law shot. And I was
There
like,
it is.
oh my
Yep.
gosh,
Yep.
either there's something out there that I didn't see,
Yeah.
or we shot a cow just now, which we didn't have a license
Not
for.
great. Yeah,
So, but anyway, yeah, it was a nice. It wasn't a big, huge elk or anything like that. But that was our agreement. Was first legal bull
Yep.
that shows up, because in Colorado they have to have 4 points on at least one side. And this was a nice 4x4, beautiful rack. It was great. So got to do that. But I had some fun prior to that. I thought about you, in fact, because I was the area that I was wanting to get to hunt was really hard to get to. Not because it was excessively high, because I want to say it was like, I can't even remember now, 96, 86, I can't remember, something like that. It wasn't terribly high as far as like elevation goes.
Sure.
But the forest was really thick.
Okay.
There was a lot of that scrub oak stuff, and it's just really hard to get through. And so the first morning that I went out there, I was going to try to sneak out to this area that I was trying to get out to in the dark, and ended up just walking in a circle like twice, because I was trying to follow game trails and all that kind of stuff.
Difficult.
Ended up just going in a big circle twice. And so didn't find a good way that day. The second day, I thought I had a good way to get in. And so I was, again, got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking through the forest, and had walked in a circle again from a different angle. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here and wait for a little bit of light before I start moving again. And so I sat down, and all of a sudden I heard something, and it was a bear. We've had our discussions of bears.
Yeah.
It was a bear. I was guessing like 30 yards from me, huffing at me.
Oh.
And I had apparently just walked right by it, because I was like, that's where I came
back
from.
where you were.
That's where that bear is.
Yeah.
And that's such an interesting sound when bears huff at you, because to me, it always just sounds like they're just disgusted that you're there. They're not scared of you. They're not afraid.
Nope.
They're just disgusted that now they have to go someplace else, because you ruined their night's sleep now in that particular instance.
Now you're in southern Colorado, right?
Yes.
So you're not worried that's a grizzly.
No.
Can you see it?
No, I could. No, it was dark.
Oh.
No, it was dark.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
Mind
don't
play
know
tricks
anything.
on you there,
oh,
though.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the bear spray came out immediately, and all that good stuff. But yeah, the huffing sound that a bear makes is when it's fairly close is pretty interesting.
And 30 yards.
That was my guess.
Oh.
Like I said, I couldn't see it, but
Right.
it's just what it sounded like and stuff. It's like it was right there.
Did you go look once it got light and try to find sign or anything?
Oh, there was bear poo
Everywhere.
everywhere. There was more bear scat than there was from elk.
Okay.
Clearly, by a lot, where I was at. So it was everywhere. So it was not surprising that there was a bear around at all, because there was fresh stuff on the trails and all that kind of stuff. So it was not surprising at all.
So elk, grizzly bears are a main predator of elk
Yes.
cubs. They're not cubs.
Elk calves.
Calves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bull cows, calves.
Black bears?
I would guess that they might be to some degree, but
Yeah.
probably more mountain lion,
Right.
than bear, I would think.
Yeah.
I'm not game biologist guy, but I would guess that to be true.
Yeah.
But-
That's at least what I would think. Now, we were in a field. It was the last walk we did of the day. Walked around. I'm all the way on the edge in between a feedlot and just a regular cornfield. And I'm watching the dogs. We're walking. It's the easiest walking I've done the entire time. Bobcat goes shooting across like maybe 20 feet ahead of me.
Cool.
And slow enough, like it kind of came out of the weeds, looked over at me, and then went to enough where I was like, that's a bobcat. That was a bobcat. So I yelled bobcat. And then a
Nice.
dog went shooting after it,
Yeah.
but they called him and came right back.
Yeah.
And we found its nest, or what we think was its nest. So it was living there.
Cool.
But I did the same thing I do to everybody that I talk to that ever hunts in mountain lion territory or where they are. Ask them, have you ever shot a mountain lion? Because I'm dying to talk to some other people who've eaten them and want to know.
Supposed to be pretty good.
So I had two, quote unquote famous hunter. Well, one of them is actually a famous hunter. I've talked to say that it is their favorite meat.
Yeah.
Like, bar none. So being in the Wichita area, if I were to say, if it has wheels, Al makes deals. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this guy in Wichita. His name is Big Al.
Big Al, you bet.
Friendliest guy you're ever going to want to meet. And, like, not fake friendly, genuinely a friendly guy.
That's correct.
The next truck I buy, if I buy another truck ever, it will be from him just because of how, A, what a nice guy he is, B, how much he does for conservation and hunting around here.
It's amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's
it is
absolutely insane.
Crazy.
And he's just so much fun to hang around with. He has great stories, done all sorts of interesting things. I always assumed he owned all the car dealerships that he... No.
Nope.
Just works there.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
works there. And is the most identifiable employee by far.
Yeah.
Like,
a couple of zeros on it, like 100. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't name
100
anybody
times.
else who works there.
Yeah.
But we were talking about hunting in Africa, and he says his favorite meal is a kudu.
Never had any of that.
Yeah, it says it's kudu cordon bleu. Says it's the best thing he's ever eaten. He talks about this one chef over there in Africa. But anyway, I was asking him because I assumed if anyone's going to know, but he had never had it.
Yeah.
So we're back to square one of not having an access to it.
I know. Yeah, I know. I've on the meat eater shows, Steve Ranella. He talks about how great mountain lion
Really?
is. Yeah.
All right, then that's 3.
Yep. So
It's got to be good.
must be. It's hard to believe, or it's just you have such a poor expectation going in that it's not too bad, and so you think it's great.
Or, so partly that, partly also like you want to show how authentic of a hunter you are. Oh, I actually like that.
Yeah, but
It's like the Jepson's Malore, the drink we used to have on here.
yeah, what was that? It was Ranella. I think it was with Remy Warren. He's another guy.
Remy Warren.
Yeah,
I love that guy.
He is a badass.
So much fun.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
watch, read, listen to anything he does.
Absolutely.
Oh.
They tried coyote one time because Ranella was saying that's like the question that he gets, like, hey, oh yeah, bad guy, have you ever
You
eaten
want
a
some of that?
coyote?
Yeah.
And so they did, and he said it was not that great.
I cannot imagine it would be.
Can't either.
Oh.
But it was interesting though, because he had been to, as I recall, like Southeast Asia or something where dog is a typical meat.
Yep.
And so they prepared it in that fashion. To try it that way. So, I mean, it was a legit approach to it. They didn't just like cut off a steak and
then try
to grill
it.
it or something like that.
So it is Ranella who talks about dog being a spicy food, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
creates a
anytime,
little heat in your heart.
I always associate that with him, so I'm glad to know that is actually him.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, so we had this elk on the ground at 8:00 in the morning, which was fantastic. I have hunted. That was my 4th elk hunt, I think it is. The other 3, I chased them around with my bow, and did not get one. And so this was the first time I'd walked up to a dead elk to have to get it out of the woods. Now. And we were 3.5 miles from camp with a
in mountains too.
in mountains. Yeah. And so, and we were talking earlier. I thought of that deer processing video that I did with you guys, because it was like, well, hopefully it's the same thing, you just follow the same deal.
Sure.
And really it was, the only thing that threw me off was just the size difference.
Oh yeah.
Like there was a couple of times like I got like disoriented, like as I was cutting through some stuff, I was like, wait a minute, like, is this
I should
like
be here by now.
Is this like the sirloin tip or is this what, and it's like, and so I was like, I would get disoriented almost a couple of times, just because of the sheer size. Yeah. Because it was so much bigger. Because all I've cut up is deer for a long time now.
They are huge.
They're big
animals.
Yeah. And like I said, this one wasn't a huge one. But it was plenty. It was all I wanted to carry out.
Much
of there.
bigger than the deer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But so we did the whole deal. We we did the gutless method.
I don't know that. What?
So instead of like gutting the deer, what you can do is basically cut the legs off.
Okay.
and cut the back strap out,
Okay.
and you've got everything, and you don't pull out the guts.
So you're talking about when you say legs, we're including shoulders.
Yep. Yeah, because it's really easy, and I basically did it in the video that you can find here at the Meatgistics podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can if you skin it like on the elk, what I did was I went to skin it. I went right down the back,
Okay.
just like straight down the backbone, and then came up from the legs, and then just kind of peeled everything down the side, and so you end up with like a skinned half of an animal laying there in front of you. And so, especially on the front leg, you can just like lift it up and just like work your knife through it.
No problem.
There's
Okay.
like one tendon to cut through, and you're hanging on to the leg and everything, and like most of the neck meat, everything.
Okay.
You can do a lot of not the meat in between the ribs, but like the brisket and the meat that's on top of the ribs. You can get all of that off in one piece.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How heavy
easy.
is that piece?
It's heavy.
Yeah, right.
It's
So now
heavy,
you're
especially
carrying
at that when it's. Well, I ended up boning everything out before we
That's
we
smart.
took it out.
Yeah, that's smart.
But to get to that point, I mean, there was way more than we could carry in one load, and so we had to do it such that because I have these meat bags. Maybe Walton should be carrying that. That could be a possibility here sometime soon.
Okay.
But they have these meat bags that you like. It's big enough that
Place
you take
it
this
in.
whole leg and put it inside this bag.
Sure.
And then close it up real good. Put it on a rope. Throw the rope over a tree branch and pull it up.
Yep.
And then it stays there until you come back to get it.
Right.
And so we did that. We hung up both front legs and one of the back legs up in the tree. The back leg, I opened it up so that it could air out because there's a lot. It's such a big muscle.
Right. A lot of heat.
It holds all that heat in there, and so I just split it open down to the femur and opened it up so that it could cool out.
Yeah.
By the way, when we got back to that meat, we got there at about 1 o'clock when we came back to get it, or maybe it was 2 o'clock, something like that. We had it hung up on the north side of a tree up in the breeze in the shade. That meat was cold.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was probably 45
So
that
not that
day.
cold. Okay.
But that meat was cold. It was in the shade,
Yeah.
and it was just, I mean, it was cooled out so well. It was wonderful.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, you do that, take the legs off, take the back straps out, sneak your hand in there and be very careful. Get the tenderloins out, which are underneath there, because all of the guts are right there, and you have to be really careful. But yeah, got the whole thing out of there. We made first trip out was my son-in-law carried the head because it's now on their wall in their living room. I love it.
And that was the first one he's ever gotten.
That's
right?
the first one he's ever
Awesome.
got.
Yep.
A funny side story. My daughter, his wife. I have one daughter that likes to hunt and fish, and one that likes to hike.
Okay. So at least they both like the outdoors.
Oh, absolutely.
You're happy
absolutely.
either way.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But the one that hikes does not like to hunt, and
Does she not like to hunt, or does she not like hunting?
she doesn't like to hunt.
Okay.
She loves to eat wild game.
Okay. Cool.
But and she has sworn forever because I apparently had too many of them in my house. She said that she would never have a dead animal in her house.
Okay.
She does now.
Now she does. Not an option.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but he had a European mount done with it,
Okay.
and it looks really, really good. It's a really nice symmetrical rack. It looks really nice. It's a good one.
Great.
And but yeah, so he carried that out. The back straps and tenderloins, a bunch of the loose meat that the neck meat and all
Here
that
and
kind of
there, yeah.
stuff. Yeah, just the stuff. And I think that was it that he carried out, and I carried out a hind quarter, a back leg, on plus all of the 20 pounds of crap that you bring with you
Sure.
when you're hunting.
Yep.
All the equipment to do all that stuff
Yep.
that we'd just done, and so we had all of that stuff. Carried it, and I boned out the back leg, which is a piece of cake. That's
Nice and
very
easy.
simple.
Okay.
2 bones, one here, one there. Cut them out, and you're done. And then put it in your backpack, and off you go. And we had 2.5 of our 3.5 miles was through the forest. over logs, crawling under logs,
Fun.
between trees. It was a workout.
So we talked about this real quick on our hunt as well, because obviously you love it when a pheasant flushes and you get shots at it. But part of what's fun about it is just, I'm going to go through that thickest thing right there. Like, and I'm going to make it through, and I'm still going to be ready to take a shot. Like, I am.
The whole time.
You're focused. You're in touch with everything. One of the things that I found really funny, and the guy who is guiding us, and again, guide with quotation marks.
Right.
One of the times, they use whoa for the dogs, but they use whoa in like 3 different ways. Like, whoa is stop, whoa is like go slowly, and I don't remember what the third one is. Anyways, he would quite often be like, John, go there. John, go there. John, come here. We need you, blah, blah. And one of the times I said, whoa, or he said, whoa, I stopped. And I look back at him, he's looking at me smiling. And
it happens.
Like, oh, you're laughing at the fact that I'm responding to the dog things. And he'd been doing it the entire time. I finally picked up on the fact that I'm acting like a dog the entire. And I think he was pushing me through like the hardest things, I hope at least, because he saw that I was enjoying it. But it also possibly was like, I'm going to make him realize he's acting like a dog right now.
He's going to be the dog.
But it's the physically difficult things kind of a little bit suck while you're doing them. They are the most fun things to look back at.
100%.
All of my favorite outdoor stories, I think every single one has something to do with like, oh my God, this was so hard.
Yes.
But I'll always remember them.
Yes. Well, it's the type 1 fun, type 2 fun. Do you know about that stuff?
No.
Okay, so there's this thing in psychology out there, psychiatry, I don't know which it is. And there's 3 types of fun, I think it is. Type 1 fun, and Ronell even talked about it in one of his TV shows with, I think it was one of the ones with Joe Rogan, in fact.
I mean, I watch some meat eater stuff. I listen to his podcast like here and there when it has some, but I'm not like a huge.
Yeah. They were talking about it because type 1 fun is like, and I think he described it as like going on a roller coaster ride. It's like, woohoo, that was fun.
Oh, I have heard that.
Woo-hoo.
Okay,
that's really fun.
Yep.
But then you don't remember it.
Right, because it's gone.
But then on the show that he was talking about, I think it was he and Joe Rogan and Brian Callen were in Alaska, and they were just getting pelted with rain like
Terrible,
day after
right,
day after day. And they're like, this is type 2 fun. It kind of sucks while you're going through it, but you remember it, and you look back on it and you go, that was really fun.
Yep.
And that's type 2 fun.
Okay.
And then type 3 fun is like too much fun, and there's not a happy ending.
Now, so you're in southern Colorado. Yes, we're not worried about grizzlies, which
Correct.
are like, I know this is stupid. I know tiger sharks are just as dangerous as great whites, but I don't care about them. Like, I just don't.
Right.
If I saw one in the water, I'd probably be more interested than afraid.
Yes.
Same thing with grizzly bears. For whatever reason, I see a grizzly as unbelievably dangerous and a black bear as, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Like maybe I could have that as a pet.
Yeah.
But you still have to be aware of that. Do you worry at all about them smelling that meat and coming finding you?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That was. Oh, yeah. Because after we made that first walk out of there, we walked out, made it to camp, like chugged a bunch of water, slammed some food, and like took off back up there.
Right back.
But the whole, my son-in-law was making fun of me because as probably 100 yards from where the meat was hanging in the tree for like 100 yards, I was going, no bears, no bears, no bears.
Nope.
And so, you got to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, they're not cuddly.
No.
Black bears, you know, they're not necessarily cuddly. They will attack people. They do attack people at times.
Anything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So
Magpies
whatever.
will attack people.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you have to keep it in mind. But there is a difference between the two species.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true, I believe.
But that doesn't make black bears necessarily any less dangerous to humans than grizzlies.
No.
You might have a better chance of surviving it, but it's still very, very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you throw in the mountain lions.
Yeah, which we're getting in Kansas more and more.
Oh, yes. Yeah, they had them out there. They talked about them a good amount.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's like that's now something that pheasant hunters in Kansas have to think about.
Yep,
that's right.
Like,
and
hey,
we've not had to do that
with
before.
This dead animal, like for those of you not in the Kansas area, the wind in Kansas really is something to talk about. I don't know what the wind's like in Oklahoma, but I can't imagine they could have just as easily made it about Kansas.
They should have.
The wind is never. In fact, it's to the point now where if I take my dogs out for a walk and I can hear everything around me, I recognize that. I'm like, that's weird. I can hear things.
Yes.
Normally it's just, you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
So that is carrying that scent miles.
Yes.
I mean, many, many miles.
Yep.
And they're wild animals. If they're hungry, they're coming to that.
Yeah. And there's also the thing now that it's kind of it's becoming a thing that there's a theory that bear now key in on the sound of a rifle going off. That's like a dinner bell.
Yep. Of course.
So they go to that sound
Makes
because there's going to be food there.
Yep.
Makes sense to me as well. Yeah, that's why I walked up that last 100 yards, just no bear,
I don't blame you. Oh, wow.
and it was a really good feeling to walk up there and see those nice 3 bags hanging up there in the tree, and they were not touched at all, and all that kind of stuff. So that was good.
Especially since you've basically set up the meat tree.
Yeah.
I mean, that,
yeah.
My opinion, I've listened to, I don't know, probably 30 or 50 of Renella's podcasts, but the meat tree is its own thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only one I've ever gone back and listened to numerous times.
Yeah.
Because, God, a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about the scariest land animal? I think that's it. I think I'd rather see a tiger, a lion, any of those in the wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
Grizzly will eat you while you're still alive.
Well, sure.
Those other animals will kill you and then eat you.
Yeah.
Grizzly eats you while you're still alive.
Yep. Could be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need to tangle with any of them.
No. But you go into the areas where they are.
Yeah, I know. But still, I mean, as long as you kind of keep that in mind that they're around and do a little, learn a little bit before you go out there, you can decrease your odds pretty substantially.
You can, absolutely, as long as you keep your head about you.
Right.
Which is not that easy. So real quick, what did your son-in-law get it with?
He shot a 30-06, his grandpa's old 30-06.
Nice.
Very cool gun. Still has the metal butt plate on the back end of it. He didn't put a recoil pad on it. That's the way he got it from Grandpa.
To suffer.
And so that's what he's got. He's got the same scope that Grandpa had. Or maybe he changed the scope. I can't remember. Maybe he changed the scope. I can't remember. But left the iron butt pad on there.
That's awesome.
So
went right down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know one of my favorite podcasts of yours was your last year's equipment review, where you talked about different things that you like to bring out in the field.
Yeah. So what I did by myself, yeah.
What did you bring to... See? So I just like you. I don't like everyone. No, I'm just kidding. What did you bring to help... well, I still assume you call it quartering.
Yeah.
What did you bring that was helpful? Like, what were the all-stars of gadgets?
So, like I brought my skinning knife. We've talked skinning knives before.
Yeah, I know you hate a certain kind.
There's the scalpel ones, the replaceable scalpel ones. I'm not a fan of those. Right. Some people are, some people are not. I am not. I've got my old. It's not a folder. It's just a solid skinning knife. That's what I've used forever, and I like it, and that's what I brought. I mean, same one I do deer. I cut up pheasant, quail, everything with that knife. That's the one that I always use. I've got one of your knife blade safes, whatever that I keep it in all the time.
Blade safe.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, whatever it is. Sure.
Yeah, it's a fantastic little thing that you don't that keeps it clean, and when it's dirty, keeps all the gunk off of everything else
by itself.
So that's what I use to cut it up with.
Okay.
I have a little sharpener that I bring. It is horrible on the knife itself as far as it chews it up pretty fast, but it gets it sharp in about 3 passes through it, and I can keep right on going.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so it does a great job on that deal. And I bring my cutting surface is a large contractor trash bag.
Okay.
Just a big black contractor
Sure.
bag. It doesn't weigh anything, takes up
If
no
it
room
works,
in the
it
pack.
works. Yeah.
You can spread it out. And yeah, I can take one of those great big legs and lay it down on that, and there's plenty of room for it. There's no problem. And then we can get then I talked about the meat bags. I got the set of meat bags that I put the leg in, and then just some paracord, just
get it
regular paracord to, tie it around a rock, throw it over the tree branch, pull it up.
Okay.
Just trying to think of anything else nice that I have. This sounds crazy, and most people think I'm really crazy about this, but I use a lot
And
of
other things. It's not just that.
Yeah. I have a lot of different backpacks.
Okay.
And I've gone through a lot of backpacks just through use and trying different things and all that kind of stuff. Not just because they're a sponsor of BHA, but Stone Glacier is a good sponsor of BHA, and they make an absolutely fantastic pack to pack out animals.
Right.
And I now use it pretty much for just about everything. They make their packs super light. The frame is carbon.
Okay.
They have what they call a load shelf, so that you can basically, like if you've got your backpack on your frame like that, you can separate
put it
them
back? Okay.
and then open it up, and there's a little shelf in between there where you slide in your meat bag and then put the
Close it
pack
back.
on
Okay.
it, strap it all down. You've got all the weight like right on your back. So it carries really well. I probably was carrying, I don't know, 80 or 90 pounds out of there on the first trip. I was tired as hell,
Right.
but
You're
it was,
gonna be.
yeah,
You're gonna be.
but it carried well is the point, And
So, out of that, how much meat did he end up with?
we split it.
You took some.
Oh
Good for
no,
you.
I took
Good
half.
for you.
And that
All
was
right.
also the deal. First legal bull that walked out, and since we're hunting, we were going to be anywhere between 3 and 4 miles from camp, which is a chore.
Yes, it is.
Carrying an elk for 3 or 4 miles.
Not doing that for free.
No, and so we were going to split it, split the meat. Whoever shot it got the rack, but we were going to split the meat, and so we each got almost 100 pounds of meat.
That's awesome. God, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was like, so yeah, every time we carried something out or carried a load out, it was like carrying an entire deer out.
Yeah.
All the meat from a deer,
Yep.
plus some, in some cases. So yeah,
Well, especially if he's taking the head.
yeah,
So that
Yeah.
must have been a chore.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite cut from elk?
I'm just learning. This is my first one that I've really eaten
okay.
all the way through.
Awesome.
I can tell you just the texture of the meat. It's going to be super tender.
Yep.
It's gonna, yeah. And we
It's
had,
very different than a deer.
oh, for sure. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's leaner, like than the deer that we shoot around here. The deer that we shoot around here usually have some fat on them.
Oh, a little
They're
bit.
corn fed and all that kind of good stuff. These are antelope are probably more lean, but only by a bit.
Okay.
So these are super, super, super lean animals, and they are active. You can tell they're strong.
Sure.
Everything is in good shape. Everything looks good. Everything smells good. I kept the heart and the tongue out of this one. I'm going to try some stuff with that.
Nice.
So we did that, and but yeah, we had some. Let's see, we've had some elk burger, and we've had some. And I kept that. I did not use any Walton seasonings on this one.
Tisk.
I know.
Tisk.
But this was my first one. I wanted to see what it tasted like.
Just by itself.
I just wanted to taste it, and I mixed just like the bare minimum of pork fat with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's maybe. I think it was like 7 or 8%. I just wanted
Just enough to hold it together.
Yeah. I wanted to see what it tasted like. So that's what we did this time.
Okay.
So we did that, and we had a steak out to celebrate out of my daughter and son-in-law's house, and it was fantastic. It was great. Elk has a really good reputation as far as table fare goes, and so far I would have to say absolutely yes.
Lives up to it.
Yes.
So I would say my favorite wild game to make sausage, anything out of, really is goose. But somewhat close to that is elk. When I'm talking about the best wild game sausage I've ever had, I've made 2 or 3 things with goose that is just unbelievable.
Right.
But
you
then
can,
right
do, good, you
behind
can
that,
do good stuff with goose,
You
which sounds
really
crazy.
I
People
know.
don't believe that.
That's what I always try to tell my wife. We talked about the other night, like just how things are getting weirder and weirder in this country. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, we have thousands of geese that come to our pond every year. I'm like, we're okay.
Till you
Don't
shoot a
worry
couple
about
of them,
that.
and then they're gone.
Yeah, well, maybe. But I will say this. My dog has come real close to these geese a few times, and they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
They keep coming back.
Yep.
So I think the geese in my pond might be a little bit more stupid than the average goose.
You never
I'm
know.
sure they taste just
I'm
as
sure
good.
your intelligence will rub off on them, though. I mean, how could it help but do that, you know?
Well, now that makes me concerned. All right, so you're walking through. You say you have your bear mace.
Yes, bear spray. Yep.
That's it?
Yep.
No.
I mean, I got a rifle.
Yeah.
I don't carry a handgun for that purpose. No, see, here's the deal with that. What you have to understand is, and I've seen it explained this way that like clicked in my brain. I understood it anyway. Like a bear's brain is generally speaking about the size of your hand when it's balled up in a fist.
Okay.
So a fist. So that's what you got to hit.
Yeah.
Because if you got a bear charging you, you need to drop it like right there. I mean, if it's, you don't need to wound it because all you're going to do then is make it mad.
Yeah.
So you have this that you have to hit with something that big.
Yeah, as it's coming through,
And-
as it's coming at you.
And have you ever seen a bear run?
Yeah, they're fast.
They're fast. And what are their heads are not still.
They
Their
go
heads
up and down.
are going like this. So you have to hit this
Okay.
as it's charging you, and you're shaking like a leaf because there's a bear charging you.
If you get one of them with a 50 cal from a handgun, they're going away.
If you say
Like that's
so.
not going to make it mad. That's going to be like, ow, that hurt. I can't feel my arm anymore.
If you say so.
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to carry bear spray.
I don't know enough about it, but I've seen bears walk right. I've seen grizzlies, videos of them walking right through that bear spray. They're like, "Yep, nope, don't care about that at all. I want that."
And I don't know what you've seen and all that kind of stuff. You do have to understand the wind with those.
Yeah.
I mean, you do.
Yep.
And that's a bad part of it. That's one of the cons. You do the pros and the cons, and that's a pretty large con.
Sure.
If you have to think about the wind in that situation, it's like that's not cool. But I think it's dang near impossible to hit a bear brain that's running towards you. I just don't think you're going to do that.
Super hard, at least.
Yeah, I like my chances with like a 10-foot wide spray better than I do with one small projectile, and I'm as big a gun nut as you are.
But
Maybe.
if the bear has you pinned and it starts eating you, and it's right there eating your leg,
Well, yeah, but
So
but
you
you're
spray
probably you're probably
spray it with the mace. It's like, nope, I've already gotten meat. I don't care about your mace.
it's nearly a foregone conclusion
Yeah,
if
it
it's
basically
already
is.
eating
Yeah,
your
yeah,
leg.
there's
I
not
mean,
much
that's
you're doing
probably
about
not
it.
going to.
There's not much
It's not going to be. Let's see, bear spray or pistol bear. Yeah, you're probably not going to be doing that at that point.
Bad choice all around. All around. All right, you got anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, all kinds of stuff.
Go ahead.
We can do all kinds of BHA stuff, or not, or we can do.
Let's talk
more,
about the success
which success.
of the cleanup.
Okay, well, we had in September and for Walton's anyway, October, we had the Public Lands Pack Out
Okay.
this year. Walton's was the first in America chapter sponsor of Public Lands Pack Out. Don't know if you guys knew that or not. I wasn't aware of
I
it when we
wasn't aware
did it.
of that. No.
When we did it, I just thought it made sense, and we
Austin
started
may have
talking
been,
about
yeah.
it.
I was
and
not.
but anyway, so yeah, so Walton's was nice enough to donate $5 per bag of trash that we hauled off of public lands during Public Land Month, which was September. We talked about that a little bit. I explained the tire cleanups that we were also doing. You guys extended it to $5 per tire that we pulled out of rivers, which is a huge job. And all of that came together this year very neatly. And BHA cleaned out over 900 bags of trash and tires this year.
That's awesome.
And in addition to that, also had a large commercial-sized dumpster at one place that we almost filled up that was not bagged. I don't know how many bags were there, 200 or 300. I don't know.
They don't count.
No,
Nope, we're not paying for 'em.
And we moved an entire car body
That's awesome.
out of a riverbed. So it was pretty cool. All of that winds up meaning that Walton's made a very substantial donation to the Kansas chapter of BHA, which we cannot thank you enough for. It's a game changer for us. It really truly is. And we've got another good sponsor that has also made that same deal with us.
Oh, really?
They kept
Good.
it to a little bit smaller time frame, so it wasn't quite the same number, but it was still a substantial. That's SMH Consultants out of Manhattan, an engineering firm up there.
Awesome.
They made a real nice contribution. So between the two of you, it's just like a game changer for us poor little Kansas BHA guys out here. We're not the big money organization. We just go out and work and try to do good things and clean stuff up.
Well, obviously, one of the things that's nice about when we work with certain companies, the two that always come to mind, but there are more than just you two, but the two that always come to mind are you guys and Pass It On Outdoor Mentors. It's very easy to support those two organizations.
Yes.
I don't remember where I was that I was saying this recently, but one of the things my father impressed upon me very early was if you never lie, you never have to remember anything. And it's just like, that made sense to me. So when we say good things about you, when we say good things about Pass It On Outdoor Mentors, it's very easy to do. You guys are doing great work. In fact, you specifically have done such good work, and we've enjoyed working with you and the Kansas chapter of the BHA so much that we've extended what we're doing with BHA, and we are now going to be a national BHA sponsor.
This is huge.
It is absolutely huge. We're super excited for it. We're going to have some BHA guys coming through here. I think they're going to come here. We might be going there. I don't know what's happening with that exactly, but and I told the national BHA guy we've been talking to that this would not, we wouldn't have been doing this unless we had started and been as happy and as successful as we have been with the Kansas chapter. And that is 99% because of you.
Well, I appreciate that. We do have a great group.
Yeah.
We really, just straight up, we've got a great group of guys.
I don't like those guys so much. No, I'm just kidding. Gabe, they're all great.
But you guys, you're even though you're saying, Walton's is a national sponsor now, I want folks to understand at what level you guys are supporting BHA now, because there's various levels that companies, and we appreciate all of it. BHA is very happy to have all of the sponsors, but you guys are at a level where there's 5 or 6 of you guys?
It was interesting. We looked through and we saw what you got for different levels of sponsorship, and they're all, money is money, but we're looking at the difference between the silver, the gold, and whatever the top one is. And we're like, that's not that much money. And then to get the benefits from that top one. So we went all in on it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And
unbelievable.
Again, to have our name up there with some of the other companies that are doing that same thing, which to them is probably, a drop in a bucket. But it is really nice to see Walton's up there with, these huge companies.
Big companies.
Really, really big
You guys
companies.
are in big company,
We are.
man.
We are.
You are. But, and I heard what level you guys decided to go to and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing. And I have to say that I went back in my mind, I flashed back to the very first time that I sat down with Brett.
Sure.
And I was sitting there talking to him, and I'm hoping for $500.
Right.
Yeah. I really was. I was because we were new and we're struggling and all that kind of stuff. And I just kept telling him that it's like BHA and Walton's is like a match made in heaven.
Sure.
It truly is. Here you guys are, with the slogan, everything but the meat, and BHA is, we're a bunch of guys that go out and obtain some protein.
Yep.
You know, we're out there getting some meat.
Doing
it. So it's like, it was just perfect. It was just perfect. And it just made way too much sense for you guys not to be involved with us. But I also know like what type of people are here at Walton's as well. And I thought that matched up really well with BHA as well, because it's a bunch of people that care about family, and care about, you know, passing things on to future generations and the legacy that you leave behind, and getting people outdoors and just the benefits. You know, we're talking about, you're saying the country's in a weird place right now. We need to get everybody outdoors, and COVID actually helped with that a little bit, if you're going to find something good. But you know, that's what BHA is all about. You guys understand that and appreciate that. And I mean, it's just it was just a perfect match. And it just made way too much sense to me to not come over and talk to Brett and see if we couldn't figure out something. And now look where that came to, which is pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing. It's awesome. But again, obviously, we're not going to reduce our support of the Kansas chapter.
Which we appreciate.
Kansas is where we are. Yes, we're a national company. I don't know if we consider ourselves we ship internationally, so maybe.
See, there again, it's like the same as BHA. It's like, wait, we've expanded into the provinces of Canada now.
Right, but
are we international? I think we are. We're not sure.
We were trying to figure out yesterday, like, what constitutes a small business, and it was, according to census.gov, it was 100 to 1,500 employees and $1 million to like $45 million a year. Like, that is not what I consider a small company.
That does not
like, if you have
sound
1,500 employees, in my mind at least, you're not a small company.
Yeah.
You're a decent sized company.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think back to my dad's little meat shop that I grew up in.
Right.
You know, and we had like 3 or 4 people that we had employed.
A small company.
You know, and we had a bunch of us grunt works that
you.
didn't get paid. But you know, there was us and like 3 or 4 other people. And that to me is like that's a small business.
Yeah, it makes more sense. So can't figure that out. But really, really nice to see the growing of BHA, or maybe not even the growing, the increased popularity of it.
Both.
Yep.
Both. I mean, and I don't know, maybe people watching this have not heard much about BHA. I don't know. But BHA is a conservation group, and our slogan is that we are the sportsman's voice for our wild public lands and waters. And I think that sums it up pretty well. You know, we're here to protect and preserve public lands because that's where people are going to be outdoors in the future, is public lands, because, you know, small farms are going away, like going the way of small business, you know. Really and so it's public lands that we've got to have that to get people outdoors and to learn the lessons that you can learn in the outdoors. And so that's what I think some of the stuff that we share is that feeling and all that kind of stuff. Now I can't even remember what we were talking about. The growing, that's right. Yeah, and because BHA is a young organization. Yep. We've not been around that long in comparison to the other ones, but we've gone from, you know, a couple dozen members to like 40,000.
I wonder if that's why, because we've talked about it in past podcasts. I wonder if that's why you have such a fairly even distribution between left, right, and independent, and age, is because you're younger. You haven't had things to get set in stone, like, no, we are this or we are that.
Yeah, and I think there is some of that. I think that we've talked about it. In fact, like, are we going to have like age creep, you know, so to speak? And I think part of the nature of our organization is attractive to younger people, and I think that will keep us younger to some degree because we're way younger than other conservation groups. But BHA is a group of active people.
Sure.
I mean, it's people. I mean, you've seen our members.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's people that get out and get after, like pulling tires out of the river. I mean, that is hard work. I mean, it's work. Yeah. And if you're a person that just wants to sit back and write a check, you're probably not going to be a BHA member.
You'll take it.
Yeah,
But
heck yeah.
not-
but
yeah.
we need people out in the river pulling tires out, and I think so. I think to some degree, and I mean, we're people that go out and carry an elk out of the mountains. I'm an old guy, but there's not a lot of old guys that do that. I understand that. There's just not. I get that. But there's a lot of younger people that do that.
Sure.
And that's super cool.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. And so I think to some degree, there's concern. I'll say that because BHA likes being young and energetic and all of that kind of stuff. And we've got our college programs to kind of help try to continue that. There's some thought we may be going back to K-State again because we had a K-State club for a while and then it disbanded.
Not enough interest? Or?
Yeah, it just kind of fell off.
Okay.
I don't know what happened
Okay.
because it was up and going for a while and then it faded. But the college things tend to do that a little bit. But we've got some faculty interest there, so that may be happening.
That'll
I don't
help.
know. Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, I do love, and I don't know if we've talked about it, the last survey that came out, because I came last year, I think it was, and talked about the survey results.
Oh, God, I think, it had to be last year. We haven't been doing this podcast that long.
And what made me think of it was you said that we've got, equal distribution of like Republicans, Democrats, and independents. That's changed a little bit now.
Really?
There's now a fourth group. We're now
That's
split
right.
4 ways.
That's right.
Republican, Democrats, independents, and like folks that say, don't even ask.
Yep.
I don't even care.
Don't care.
Don't care.
Yep.
I'm going to vote who I'm going to vote for.
Yep.
And it's not, it's like a step beyond independent even, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. That group is growing too. Austin and I agree on numerous things and then seriously disagree on other things. It's a different world now. I don't fall into any one of those categories, and I don't
Not
want
at all.
to.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a different world, and we need people outdoors to experience hardships like you were talking about,
Yep.
like walking through that really tough patch of weeds.
Yep.
And then, or you carry an elk through the 2.5 miles of forest.
I think that's a little bit harder than
I
walking
don't
through
know.
some weeds.
I-
Actually, the way you explained it, you walked through some weeds. It was thick.
Hey,
let me tell you.
I understand that. I was doing it this past weekend, so I understand that. And we got shut out this weekend, by the
Nothing?
way. Oh, I missed a shot at a prairie chicken. Should have had it. And we weren't even in prairie chicken territory, and all of a sudden this chicken jumps up,
yep.
and I missed it.
So real quick, the second day we went hunting, and we just did the morning, there was a significant difference. And obviously, I'm always aware of what's beyond my target. I mean, that's
Sure.
101. And if there's a dog back there, not a chance. Like, not gonna risk it. But nobody. I think we maybe shot at 2, maybe 3 quail, but because the wind was so high, the quail weren't coming up; they were staying low. Everyone's like, "Nope, there could be a dog in those." Nobody took a shot. Everybody was like, "No,
Yep.
it's not worth it," because it's not worth it. Whoever it was, I don't know who it was. I hope they don't listen to this. But if by some chance the person who was made that shot that got that dog listens to this, we all feel for you. I cannot imagine what that is like. And B, I can tell you for sure, people learned a valuable lesson from it.
Yep. And bird hunting is, and I think that's something that if you haven't done it, it's like something that you don't understand is like so much happens in an instant.
So fast.
Yeah, it's so many moving parts in such a short period of time that you really, really have to be careful, and you really, really have to pay attention.
Yep.
And even with all of that, eventually something can happen.
Something
and
happens.
I mean, it's like driving a car. Even if you're paying attention, sometimes stuff happens.
Sure.
But yeah, there are so many moving parts that I mean, stuff can happen, no doubt about it. It's sad, but it can happen.
But all in all, still think it's worth it.
Oh yeah,
Still think it's worth it.
yeah. I mean, it's like I've taken, and I say all of that stuff, and I have taken a lot of people out on their very first bird hunt, and the way that I handle the dog situation, because it's usually
Your
my
dogs,
dogs,
right.
and And so I always get a hold of everybody and get their attention before we go out, and we go over, we talk about stuff and practice things a little bit. And then like the last thing that I say is, you guys, look, everything looks good. Everybody knows everything, don't shoot if you can't see the sky, blah, all that kind of stuff. And I say, but just remember, like, I really love my dogs. Mm-hmm. And if you shoot my dog, I will shoot you back. Yeah. and I don't laugh after I say that. I make a point serious. Not to laugh. Because it is a serious deal. I'm not going to shoot them, obviously.
Right, obviously.
But I mean, it is a serious deal. You need to take it serious. Yep. And so, yeah.
They're family members.
Absolutely.
I mean, 100%. Absolutely.
As goofy 100%. As my dogs are, they're my family. Yep. I can't help it. They are.
One of the guys was like, my wife would far rather you shoot me than one of my dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So probably not kidding either.
Oh, man. But back to the Walton sponsorship thing, man, I can't thank you guys enough. And like on behalf of not just Kansas BHA, but BHA as a whole, it's like what you guys are going to be doing and doing for BHA is amazing, and can't thank you enough.
Good. People need to be out there doing this stuff.
Need to get out there, have some hardship. You can't get tough without practice.
That's fair.
You don't. Nobody's born tough. You got to practice it.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that. Like if you think of somebody that you know of, like some little 6-year-old or 7-year-old running around, that's a tough kid. Well, they probably had somebody at home that was knocking them over all the time or whatever.
Realized that they had to keep getting back up.
Yeah, yeah, you just got to keep going. Yep. However, they learned that lesson. They picked it up someplace along the way, and it's just a learned behavior, just like everything else. It's a learned behavior, and if you're going to be self-reliant or tough or any of the things that we as Americans think are a good trait, you got to practice it.
So part of it is, I think there is people wanting to learn to be self-reliant again. Mm-hmm. And your organization for sure helps with that.
Absolutely.
I feel like ours does as well.
Absolutely.
One of the really nice things is none of this money is mine, but I get to have you say nice things to me. So I'm enjoying that very much. It's not making me tougher, but self-reliance is incredibly important.
Absolutely.
I always try to tell people, know, where your food's coming from, know what you can do with it, know how to secure your own food source.
Yep. Make
sure that if things go 100% crazy somehow, you and your family are going to be okay.
Yep. Yeah. So. Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys provide a great service for that with the equipment side of things. Yep. and the Meatgistics podcast with the knowledge side of things. BHA has a couple of I'm forgetting the name of them now. A couple of video series about how to forage. Going out and foraging, off of the land and that sort of thing, which kind of follows into that thought process as well. And then we've got a whole bunch of recipes and stuff on how to cook stuff up.
I saw rabbit.
Yeah,
was on there.
Everything.
One or two other things. Yeah,
anything you can think of is on there. To how to prepare it, cook it, whatever. And foraging. We've got a large foraging community in BHA.
Haven't gotten there yet.
So
haven't gotten to the point where I know how to forage.
Yeah. I've dabbled in it, I would say, and it's a little scary, especially on the mushroom end of things. But I got to say, it's also a lot of fun. And in Kansas, there's some restrictions that you have to pay attention to on public lands and all that kind of stuff, even for foraging.
Really? Like what? Can you just name one?
I don't want to say it because I'll probably say it wrong.
No worries.
I would say learn them.
Sure.
Go read about it. Mm-hmm. But you can also just do that like walking around your yard. Like there are things in your yard that you can look at, and after you learn a little bit here in Kansas, you can go, oh, I can use that.
If I need to.
If I need to, I can do that. If I can, I can use, there's some daylilies over there.
Awesome.
There's some parts of that are edible. Not all of it, but there's some parts.
Sure.
Just crazy stuff like that. And so, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. And it's stuff that people ought to know. Everybody ought to know about that stuff because you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't. Yep. Even if it's not something huge that happens, even if it's you just get stranded somewhere and have no way back to civilization, that stuff is going to help you.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm a prepper.
Sure.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I am 100% not that. But I got no problem foraging, and I've got no problem going out and hunting.
No.
And I live a very simple life, and that's pretty sustainable.
That's the important part. People need to get back to, like, not overextending yourself. I drive a
That's the worst.
very old truck. We live a
Should we
very
compare?
simple 2002,
Okay, how many miles? You got me on that one.
280.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll call it a split
Okay,
decision
all
because
right.
yours is older. You said 2002. Mine's a 2004.
Okay.
Just turned over 400,000 miles.
Oh wow! So I'm not even close. Now, mine was a work truck for a huge portions of its life, so it dragged trailers.
And
So
mine's
it's a hard 200,000.
and yours is a pickup.
280,000. Yep.
Okay, and mine's a Honda Pilot.
Oh, those.
I
Hondas.
don't pull
Those
trailers.
Hondas,
We have driven that thing
everywhere.
Sure. And it has one of the things that it's hauled. I guess 2 is the biggest number of canoes that has been on top of that going down the highway, which creates a little resistance
Sure.
and stuff.
Rubbing.
A little bit. It's a little fun. We did 3 on at one time years ago. But that was just like a local deal. We didn't go out of state or anything. But yeah, so it's fun. Yeah, simple life. It's easy to do. It's a piece of cake.
I look at people doing things that they, and I try not to butt into other people's lives, but I see them
can't.
like buying things. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that doing for you?
Yeah, yeah. It's not, and you know, I suppose to some degree, thank goodness that some people do that. It keeps the economy going.
Yeah, it's fair.
There's that part.
guess.
Because I don't do much to keep the economy going. I've
Save that money.
got an absolute freezer full of food right now that you know I got from my vacations.
Yeah.
You know, some people go hit a golf ball on their vacation. I went out and filled up my freezer. So
Now, so you say that as if like you're not being a consumer. All of that meat that you got, we talked about this earlier, is expensive per pound. You still are adding things to the economy, just not to that section of it.
yeah, and it depends on your point of view. You know,
No, we'll have you back later. We've got to get
okay.
this.
We got to get
this
over.
done.
We
Yep.
got to shut up at some point.
We do.
Oh,
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
Or another drink.
We could do that after. Before we do that, though, first of all, I failed to get you to say boots on the ground, though I tried like
You
4
tried
different
really
times.
hard, and I did.
4
I was
different
not
times.
going to
Couldn't
do it for you.
Couldn't do it. Is there anything you want to specifically promote about BHA? Places people should follow you?
Yes, please go to backcountryhunters.org. That's the website. Go to Kansas Chapter BHA on Facebook, Instagram, and check out our podcast, if you don't mind, the Kansas BHA podcast, sponsored by Walton's. And we've had some really interesting episodes here recently. Had one on, we've got one coming up on trapping.
Really?
Yeah, guy from Maine.
Okay.
Very interesting guy. And the Great Plains Grassland Initiative, try saying that after that much whiskey. It's a government program that it was very interesting to talk to this guy about.
This is not the
No,
Serengeti. Okay.
you always go off on that tangent.
yeah,
No,
just
it's
want to
not
make sure
that.
we're not
It's
bringing
not
lions
that.
back to.
No,
Okay.
not that. But yeah, just several very interesting episodes we've had recently that have been a lot of very good, pretty interesting information, I would say. So Kansas BHA podcast, check that out if you would, please.
Absolutely.
And come to some of our events. Pull tires out of the river or just come have a beer with us.
Definitely keep an eye on their social media. We occasionally do events here for BHA. Those are always great events. The last one we did at a Pheasants Forever local banquet, there was a blonde woman who was sitting there taking real good notes. I don't know if you remember her or not, but
Yes.
she came up to me during the banquet and sat down there and talked for like 5 or 10 minutes. She was showing me
Is that right?
I think you're right.
Okay.
Was showing me pictures of like deer, what she had done, tell me more of her story. It was awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, keep an eye out. Come to any Walton's BHA events. Go to just any BHA events. Doesn't have to be at Walton's. They do a lot of interesting pint nights. Anytime they do something, we generally have some sort of giveaway.
Almost always.
Almost always. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review. This was one of my more favorite ones. We always have a good time.
We have a good time.
We have a good time. This time
it could be the whiskey.
No,
No,
that's
it's personality.
ridiculous. We
There
didn't
we
go
go.
too far down any rabbit holes this time. We kept it mostly reasonable.
Most.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for checking out the Meatgistics podcast. To shop everything but the meat, head on over to waltonsinc.com. And to get your meat processing questions answered by experts and enthusiasts alike, head on over to our online community at meatgistics.com. Walton's, everything but the meat.